Heading into the 5th week, I want to take a few minutes and reflect back on our journey so far. First, stop the video for 1 minute and reflect back as well. Okay, great. Let's get started. Week 1 involved examining what blended teaching was. I had you research some articles and interview instructors who are already teaching a blended class. What did we learn? Well, Cindy found an article that discussed the 8 characteristics of being a successful blended teacher, and her one big takeaway was the willingness to learn from the students. Margaret shared the concept of backward design and recognizing that one must break out of our molds of what we have been doing or how we have been taught. Nikki reminded us from her research that the face-to-face time should be spent applying the concepts, so we are helping the students really learn and not just memorize materials. Mariana shared the concept that one should not do too much for our students. The blended instructor should set up activities so that the students are, on their own, discovering knowledge and contributing to the learning of the entire class. So true. And we do have to train our students to be this type of a learner, since most want us to hand feed them like a baby bird. Robin shared how motivation can play a critical role in the success of a blended course. She raised the question of how do we motivate them? One suggestion was providing rewards to the students who do what they are assigned. However, Cindy mentioned that she did not think we really motivated with reinforcement, but rather by helping the students see the relevance of and the value in what being taught. So, a general definition of what blended learning is, it is a combination of multiple instructional strategies that combine face-to-face instruction with a mix of online, real-world, and explorative learning opportunities. Think about what you have experienced in this class so far. Even though we do not meet face-to-face, you have done research, you've interviewed instructors, you've listened to videos on different topics, you've participated in a synchronous web conference with Blackboard Collaborate, you've used a wiki, you've used a blog, you've been in groups. The takeaway that it's not one technique, but many. The second week, you reviewed the components necessary in a blended course. The key takeaways are there must be interaction, and these interactions need to be designed into the course itself. One must be aware of blooms and why it is so important to scaffold our teaching, starting at the bottom and working our way up to the final level of creating. If we do not take the proper steps, we will fail, and so will our students. The great thing about blended classes is that you have the perfect opportunity to scaffold before, during, and after class, and to make the learner take responsibility for the learning. We also must be aware to include UDL, Universal Design for Learning, which basically is choices, as we redesign our courses. Since we have such a diverse population of students, be aware of these components, and thinking of ways to incorporate them into our courses is a big step in the right direction. The third week, we looked at assessments, both formative and summative. Why? This is how we know whether the student has learned the competencies we are working on and whether or not we have to adjust what we are doing. You shared some really good assessments that you are doing in your classrooms. Remember, the formative assessments allow your students to practice, and then you provide feedback. So when it comes time for the summative assessments, when you measure and evaluate them, they will be able to perform. In this course, have you noticed I am doing mostly formative types of assessments so that when it comes time for you to put together your final PAT, performance assessment task, you will have had many opportunities to practice. Remember, one never wants to over-assess, meaning if you are struggling with grading, the students are probably struggling with getting everything done. Go back to the wiki and check out what your classmates said. Last week you looked at technology. This can be overwhelming. But also think of how liberating it is to be able to do so many interactive activities with your students. You have seen the videos I've created, the exit tickets. There are simulations, polling tools, ways for students to work together synchronously, Blackboard Collaborate, tools that you have shared with us. The list goes on and on. This was supposed to be a wow, but somehow when my slide came in, it came out WOW, so I apologize, but I can't redo it right now. Basically, the advantage of technology. This week you will start using all the information you have been introduced to. To do this successfully, you must think through and prepare a plan, like a roadmap in one sense, to ensure you are taking your students along a well-planned route. I'm asking you to pick one competency and to start working on your plan. This will again be a process where you get to practice and get feedback from both myself and your peers. I'm asking you to submit a rough draft after working with your group as part of the assessment. So I'm assessing, however, also allowing you the opportunity to incorporate my feedback as well as that from your peers into your final submission. You will also note that I'm sharing with you the criteria from the PAT, Performance Assessment Task, which is how I will grade your final project on this. As always, if you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great week 5.